Welcome back to He Made Me Watch. Once again, I am Captain Logan.
I'm Eric.
And today, Eric and I are going to talk about Starship Troopers. It's the first time I've seen this movie because Eric made me watch it. And I imagine, for a lot of people, or at least if they haven't seen this in a long time, or maybe a lot of people still hate this movie, they might think that this is one of those He Made Me Watches where you want me to watch a not good movie and see my reaction to it. This is a movie that Eric actually kind of likes.
I've actually not done that yet. I have a number of those I've held back on. I have not done any of those yet.
Yeah. Have I done any where I just knew you would really hate a thing?
Star Trek V.
Yeah.
And there's another one, and also in some way Safe House.
Sure, but that's one of those so bad it's good movies.
But there's another one.
You can't hate Safe House. Like it's not possible.
Yeah.
And I guess Men in Black 3 to some degree, but not really.
No.
I mean, you ended up not liking that, but that wasn't the reason I showed it to you.
There's a big another one that I can't think of.
Maybe so. Well, anyway.
Yeah.
So Starship Troopers is a movie that you wanted me to see because you actually like it and you think that it's misunderstood. Right?
I think it was misunderstood. I think it's gone over. I think it's gone through a critical reappraisal where everyone it's
very much a cult movie now.
Yeah, where everyone looked at it and was like, "What was wrong with everyone in the '90s? How was this too subtle for the 1990s? How did people go see this movie and not get that it was a comedy?"
Yeah, and a satire, and that it wasn't endorsing
fascism.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's very much not endorsing that. It's very strange that people saw this movie and hated it.
I honestly feel like I easily could have seen history looking at it more like something like Total Recall or something.
Which is also Verhoeven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which isn't the reason I said that. This is the first thing that popped in my mind, but yeah.
And I love Total Recall. You're not a huge fan, right?
Not a huge fan, huh?
Yeah, I love Total Recall. The second act's not as good as the first, or the second half is not as good as the first half.
Certainly,
but
yeah.
But I like that movie a lot. I like Verhoeven a lot, I guess. At least 3 of his films.
Yeah.
I never actually sat down and watched Showgirls.
Yeah, me neither.
But, so Starship Troopers
Ebert didn't like that movie.
Showgirls?
I know that, yeah.
No one likes them. I don't think that has been critically reappraised.
Yeah.
So, Starship Troopers is a film about humanity in the future, and we've become super fascistic, and we use this as a, there are alien bugs that
there is no freedom. That's not a thing. People aren't entitled to it. They don't expect to be free. It's just not even a thing.
You have to earn citizenship through working.
Usually by working for the military.
Yeah.
And people are very expendable, and they don't know it.
People are very expendable,
or they know it and they don't, and it just doesn't bother them because they were raised that way.
Yeah.
I don't.
Our first scene with our protagonist is a classroom that is treated like a normal kids in high school kind of a scene where like they're passing notes and stuff, but if you listen to what the teacher is saying, they're talking about how violence is the only answer to problems.
Yeah, that's right.
And
it's supposed to be disturbing.
Someone says my parents always told me violence doesn't solve anything, and the teacher responds, it's like Ask the Japanese or something like that.
Yeah. Brutal.
Yeah. But so there's these alien bugs, and the film gives us a lot of clues throughout that the bugs are fighting back because we're just trying to take over their territory.
Yeah.
They're not actually aggressive, they're just fighting back because we're trying to colonize their world.
It's one of those things where they look scary, so it's easy for us to justify them as the bad guys.
Yeah, and they're just animals. They're just monsters.
Yeah.
Which is also not true. Because they're a hive mind, there's a brain, and like they're thinking creatures.
Is that a metaphor for American colonization?
I'm sure it is.
I bet it is.
I'm sure it is. So we follow Giant Rico, the whitest person to ever have the last name Rico, which there's a theory that that's intentional, but I don't know. He's kind of got made, like he's got rich parents and everything, and his girlfriend, played by Denise Richards, joins the military, and so he joins the military too, so they can stay together. And she's just kind of terrible to him the whole movie.
Yeah.
And also, who's the girl you love? Dina Meyer.
Yes, thank you. Dina Meyer. She's amazing. She's so good in this.
She's this girl that's obsessed with Rico for some reason. He's the blandest person on the earth, and he has no interest in her. Like, he doesn't see her as a girl, period. Like, she's just there.
Yep. He's really superficial.
Yep. And also Neil Patrick Harris.
Yep.
And they all join the military, but they all get put in different places. So Denise Richards goes to the Air Force.
I think is a really tiring love triangle.
Yeah, that's fair. They want it to be a dual protagonist movie with Denise Richards and him, but they don't spend
She's not on screen enough.
She's not on screen enough, but then when we do have time with her, it feels like we're wasting time. I would have cut most of her scenes.
I think so too.
Not that she's awful in this, but...
No, I think she's actually quite good.
Especially considering Denise Richards.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I think she has a commanding presence. I buy her as kind of the captain of that ship. Like, I buy all that.
Yeah, yeah. And so we a lot of this movie is boot camp, where we just kind of see, like, a bunch of military stuff and, like just how insane they are. One of the big things is everyone that's ever served is missing a limb. We never talk about it, but, like, it's a blind person, somebody's missing their legs, somebody's missing their arm.
That actually is kind of funny.
It's really funny. And then, I guess this is a trend with movies like this.
Like, a lot of this is satirical before it's laugh out loud funny. I don't have the thing that I said earlier in the omnibus that I started to have with Wolf of Wall Street until it won me over, and then I felt like I knew what it was doing. With this, it's a comedy. It's a satire, but it's not always laugh out loud funny.
Yes.
But like the comedy is always supposed to be disturbing. It's not. Supposed
It's a lot
to,
like RoboCop.
It's not slapstick. It's not.
Yeah. It's satirical before it's like comedy. But like a lot of things like this,
like we have lost ourselves.
Yeah.
Just like with RoboCop.
Yeah. Because people complain about this in Stripes. I don't have as much with Stripes, and people also talk about this with Full Metal Jacket. We're like, we love the boot camp stuff, but once you go to war, you kind of lose the audience, and it doesn't work as well.
This has that.
Yes.
This absolutely has that.
And this is a thing that seems to happen with a lot of movies that start in boot camp and then go to war.
And this is my biggest issue. Why is it an hour and 20 minutes?
We can cut the action scenes down a lot.
Is it 220, 215?
I think it's 220.
It's really long.
It's really long. No, we could have cut the action scenes down a lot.
And I didn't feel like it was self-indulgent until that third act. And then I was like, oh, wait, so I was actually here for a big over-the-top action movie? Like, it already had some over-the-top action, but it seemed like in the last half hour or more, I was supposed to be enjoying all the shootout stuff. And, like, yeah, there are dramatic moments in that when we lose people or we almost lose people, whatever. And I never have the thing we did with Descent where I can't track characters I've been following the whole movie. So that's good. It's not too long till we get there. I don't even think I would have cut anything in the first 2/3 necessarily. I just think you could trim that down to about 40% of what it is.
And some of it, part of it is, it works the first time. I think there's technically 3 conflicts at the end, and there should only be 2.
Okay.
Maybe even 1, but you probably
it's that Phantom Menace problem, but to a lesser degree.
Yeah. But the joke works. I think the first battle is quite good in how horrific it is.
Yeah.
Like, once we get there and you're like, oh my god, like, people are just dying left and right, and
like,
they're just getting torn apart.
And it's business as usual, and everybody's used to it, and it doesn't really bother them as like it should.
Yeah.
Because people are expendable.
Yeah. And we get an ad at the end of this where it's like we're signing, or it's not an ad. It's when they first, or it's when they're putting the team together at the end of the movie. As like the wrap up with the characters, and like you see that they're like there's like children enlisting, like
that got me. And you know I'm glad you brought that up because he does it to a lesser degree, but the commercials and news and stuff, he loves that stuff. I mean, he did that with RoboCop.
Yes. Yeah. There's a lot of that. A lot of it's based on actual Nazi like propaganda reels and things like that.
Yeah. News reels. He uses that sometimes to deliver exposition, although you always have to take it with a grain of salt because it's propaganda. But he's mostly using that to give you a broader sense of, if not what the rest of the world is really like, what it's perceived as.
Yeah, and it's this. And there's things because those are where we get the big clues about the bugs. We're like, someone says like it's been theorized that the bugs they were invading the bugs territory and they were just lashing out. And someone's like, "You shut up, you idiot!" But And I think that's
brainwashed.
I think most of the if there is any laugh out loud stuff, it's in those like montage newsreel things. There's some funny stuff with Neil Patrick Harris, where when he's like teaching you how to like kill a bug. It's just he's just unloading it.
That was really funny. Yeah.
He's a Nazi. Like, this whole movie is modeled on Nazis somewhat, but like he shows up near the end and he's like in like a head to toe SS outfit, and he's part of the Psi Corps. He's psychic. And the big finale at the end of the movie is they pull out, they find out there's a brain bug that like all of the bugs kind of work for this.
It's like Bab 5 in that way.
Yeah. And Bab 5 will continue to get more and more Nazi with certain people.
But I just mean that they both have a Psi Corps.
Oh yeah, sorry. I thought you were talking about the Nazi thing. Yeah. There's some Nazi stuff in Bad 5 too.
Sure. Yeah. But they both have specifically a thing called a Psi Corps.
Yeah. Well, he might have pulled that from Starship Troopers. That might be in the book.
Yeah.
But he like at the end we pull out this brain bug, and Neil Patrick Harris puts his like hand on it and like reads its mind, and the big triumphant moment is it's afraid.
Yeah.
The problem is I think there's good stuff in the third act like that. It takes too long.
I just wanted it trimmed down.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what I was supposed to be focusing on. It just suddenly turned into an action movie, and it was smarter than that if you were paying attention. Before.
Yeah, but I think it loses that in that third act.
No, it does. That's what I'm saying.
It's like it was trying to trick the audience. In that they were trying to get people in the seats to see that movie.
Yeah, and so they felt like they had to give you that.
Yeah.
But they're not giving the two audiences what they came to look for, or what they came for simultaneously. Mm-hmm. So I check out when those people theoretically are checking in, but they're not. At that point, they're so done. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I would suspect. One of the things I was most impressed with this movie, Eric, was that the drill sergeant guy,
Clancy Brown.
Yeah, it is Clancy Brown, isn't it? Who I've been spending a lot of time with playing through. Detroit Become Human.
Oh, is he in that?
Oh yeah, he's one of the major supporting characters. Yeah,
Clancy Brown.
It's got a killer cast. But like I said, one of the main characters
is he a military guy?
Is Dot from the No, he's a cop.
Okay.
And I don't think I've ever seen him play a cop before. I mean, he's always played military guys.
If I've seen him play cops, like a retired cop or something like that.
He plays. I mean, it's a real stereotypical Clancy Brown kind of performer or kind of thing, but he's a cop that's considering suicide. He's got a Riggs thing going on.
Oh, interesting.
But anyway, so but I was really impressed with how human that guy became.
Yeah. He's got nuance. See, there's this thing that this movie does that I think it's not as good as it could be, in that I don't think it knows how much you are in fact supposed to like these characters or not.
Right.
Sometimes it, and I think
especially the main guy.
Yes, and I think part of that,
especially Rico. I have no idea by the end whether I was supposed to be rooting for him or not.
And I think a lot of that is part of what stretches out the third act, is that there are character beats we have to hit, but I don't care about them, because for the most part the characters in this movie are there to facilitate me seeing this world. It's not really about them, except they think it is, sometimes.
And it's a problem, and sometimes it kind of is, too. Like, it's a problem when you throw a love interest character under the bus by making them be in love with your main character when you're not understanding why they are, like you suggested earlier. Mm-hmm. And you think if that guy was smart, he would be with her because she's cool, and I like her, and that's who I would want to date. Mm-hmm. But then, and not just because she was Oracle, but I love her. She's like in this movie, she's mm-hmm. cooler than anybody else in the film. And by the way, I think the way they treat men and women in the military is really interesting.
Mm-hmm. They're just there.
Yeah.
There's no division. Almost, they shower together. They sleep together.
I wondered. Yeah, and like that makes a lot of sense. I almost think though, and maybe this is not a real realistic piece. Maybe this would be too realistic. Although it is a thing where it's trying to extrapolate and exaggerate. Where it's like if we got this far, went too far in the future, in some ways, what would it actually be like? I don't necessarily buy that the sexes would be as separate as they even are in this, in the way people perceive each other. So like in the military, it's all co-ed, and they don't think about it, and they shower together, like you said. But especially in a world where you have to get a license to have children, everybody's sleeping with everybody. I don't buy that. I don't.
That's fair.
I don't buy that it would be even allowed the way it is. How do you not have accidental pregnancies and stuff?
I mean, maybe there's something for that. Like maybe.
I would have brought it up though. I would have had a line about it.
Maybe everyone's like sterilized or something.
I was distracted. No, but they can't all be sterilized because, or it would have to be the kind of sterilization that was reversible.
Yeah. I'm sure they got something going on for that, but I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, like, even if you're married, you can't have children if you don't have a license.
Yes. They must have a way, like, if that's the law, you can't have accidental pregnancy.
But I was distracted.
Although Ender's Game does that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, like, because Ender's Game has a whole population control thing, and they have to have licenses. I don't know if they go into it in that either.
I was distracted by that. That's
fair. Although it is really interesting that Rico and his girlfriend do not sleep together until the very end of their high school, like after their prom or whatever. Like she's like, my parents aren't home, and they go to her place, and it's very clearly that's the first time that's ever happened with them. I think that's interesting.
I think the bottom line for me,
I
think this movie needed a second pass on the script. I don't think it was done. I think it needed revision, stat, and I think it was misunderstood at the time, but I don't think it's a great movie. I don't think it's anywhere in the same league as RoboCop.
No, it's not.
There are moments that are, and I really liked a lot of the satire in it, and I thought a lot of it was poignant and hard-hitting and is still relevant, unfortunately. And I found some of the character dynamics theoretically fascinating. I don't know how to flip the sign on this. This is not a movie I would feel the need to ever go back to. I don't think.
I've seen it many times.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think that last battle is enough for me just to not even want to have to sit through it again.
I mean, I guess you turn it off before that. You fast forward through it.
I don't do that, man. The whole movie's got it. Like I don't have one movie I've ever done that with.
That's fair. I mean, I don't tend to do that either, but
okay, I have one. Have I told you about this?
No.
But it's not me. It's my wife. Every time we watch Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory...
fair. Everyone does that. We've talked about this.
She fast forwards through the mom's song every time.
I do as well. I also do that. I guess I do also have a movie that I do that with.
I'm going to put up a lukewarm green on this. I can't flip it red because I think the satire is too biting and I like Dinah Mayer too much. The protagonist is, besides the other female protagonist, is so... the Rico guy is so slab of wood, and I can't decide how intentional that is.
And I don't think the script knows. Verhoeven might know. On a script level, it doesn't know.
Yeah.
It's trying to do the RoboCop thing, where it's over the top and satirical, and well, here's where it doesn't work in the way that RoboCop does. RoboCop is a piece about a human being who, like, goes through an arc.
Well,
a positive arc.
More human, the more robotic he gets in a world of almost inhumans.
Yes. Whereas this is supposed to be an arc of someone who didn't pay attention and like still isn't paying attention, but he's not careless about it. Like now he's a fascist and he does not care about his life and his life does not matter and no one's lives matter because it's all about the war.
Yeah.
The problem
I guess he's just supposed to be the embodiment of what that society turns you into? Is that all it is?
Yes. The problem is, I think sometimes the script thinks it's not that. And the script tries to humanize him more and
you could make the argument
make him more relatable.
You could make the argument that there are moments, and maybe I would just have to look at it again, and I don't know that I want to, but maybe the idea is supposed to be that when he sees, his friends die and he's given opportunities to be with, I would argue, the most human and relatable character in the movie, Dinah Mayer's character. Maybe those are opportunities for him to become more human, and because of the track he's on, he ends up not being able to take them. I don't know. But also I think he's supposed to be endearing when he does things like take his punishment for getting someone killed. We didn't talk about that whole thing,
and
then still stay in the military,
but he doesn't.
And all of that.
He goes to leave the military. That's him. So that scene is actually the most important scene.
No, but he could have kept leaving. He only comes back because people start dying.
It's not just because people start dying. He has no home to go back to.
Oh.
Everyone he knows is their town specifically that gets struck by the bugs.
That's true, yeah.
No, it's a selfish thing and it's a revenge thing.
Is that all it is?
He was about to wash out and go back home to his parents.
So he doesn't do a noble thing at all.
No, it's entirely revenge driven. It's entirely anger. Because his hometown got wiped out. No, that's why he re-enlists. He's like, I want to take out the people that took out my people.
And so he's not actually learning anything from getting that guy killed.
No.
Okay.
He learned not to have one of his soldiers take off his helmet in the middle of combat.
So the question isn't just, does the script know how blank slate he is? Does the script know that he's not like endearing?
I think sometimes it does, and sometimes it wants him to. I think sometimes it wants him to be endearing, so you as an audience are engaged. I think it has trouble doing what it's trying to do in a way that it didn't with RoboCop, but it's easier with RoboCop because your endpoint is very human and likable, whereas the endpoint here is a Nazi, and so I think it has trouble doing what it wants to do.
Yeah, and this is, I think, by definition, a more cynical film than RoboCop.
Absolutely. Which
isn't necessarily a problem, because I talk all the time about optimism versus pessimism in movies. There are reasons for movies for stories to be cynical. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't you agree? Like Animal Farm has to be cynical. There's
1984.
There's a reason for that. Yeah, these guys, and this is an Orwellian kind of thing.
Yeah,
and that's the difference. RoboCop's not Orwellian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a world that's getting there.
Yeah.
But the message isn't necessarily that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's also a more singular character piece.
Yeah.
Well, 1984, I guess, is kind of about one guy, but...
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's not fair, but, yeah. I haven't read that in a long time. I was like, oh, wait a minute. No, that's about one guy.
Yeah, it's about one guy.
So, anyway, lukewarm green sign for me, but I'm glad I finally watched that, because I like Verhoeven a lot.
Yeah.
Or I guess I like RoboCop a lot. But anyway, next time I'm going to make Eric watch a science fiction movie he's never seen before.
And if you watched an earlier video, you already know what that is.
But I'm not going to tell you what it is. But right now, because I want to encourage people to watch all 17 hours of our show.
Easter egg.
No, that's a joke. Should I go ahead and say it since I said it earlier? Or
No,
not?
no.
You know what I'm going to do?
No.
Okay.
It should be an Easter egg. And someone should make a video being like, all the Easter eggs you missed in Omnibus 13. It should just be you saying what it is.
You know what'll happen, though? There'll just be comments that are like, it's this, you guys.
Sure.
Yeah. But anyway. But I will say, one of, if not my favorite science fiction film of all time.
Really?
That you have not seen.
I did not realize that it was that high up on the list for you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Sure.
Over Planet of the Apes?
It's just such a... It's in the same league.
Interesting.
It's in the ballpark.
Okay.
Yeah, most certainly. No, Planet of the Apes at this point probably is over it, but it's in there.
I didn't know Keanu Reeves was that good.
No, it's not a Keanu Reeves movie. Anyway, thanks again for watching, folks. Sure appreciate it. The next thing up on the Omnibus, we are almost through tonight. Eric and I are going to do a really interesting album on a guitar pick this time, so look forward to that. We're going to do a psychedelic rock thing from a band I've never heard of before. I had never heard of before.
King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizards.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do, so look forward to that. And in the meantime, I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
Thanks again for watching, folks.